Hey family, what's going on? Klaus here, and welcome back to Minecraft version 10 of Mekanism guide series, where last time we talked about which single block generator is the best in version 10 of Mekanism. Now today, we're going to be covering ethylene, how to get ethylene, what is the process, because we covered in the last video, and if you guys didn't see that, check it out, it's in the playlist, that the gas burning generator is by far the best generator that's a single block. But you don't want to burn hydrogen, which is kind of the first thing that you would think of to burn in a gas burning generator. You want to burn ethylene. And so to do that, there is a whole chain of items that you need, including a whole bunch of biology, whatever that may be. I'm going to be using melon slices because there are lots of easy ways to get melons and then make a melon farm. You guys can look that up on your own if you'd like, but I've got loads of it and a chest to put it in here now. I've also got all of the items that I'm going to need to make all of the different parts here and set up and ready to go. So I'm going to take up all of my items and we're going to be crafting everything today. And of course, I just realized I don't have a crafting table, so let me grab one of those really quickly. This is a flat world, and I do have it in survival so that you guys can see that it, you know, how it works in survival. But I need to go into creative mode so that I can grab a crafting table. Also, I've got a basic energy cube that's filled up with a solar generator because the solar generator hums and it's annoying. And then, of course, I've got all the different kinds of cables and such. So since I don't have any wood, there we go. Okay, so crafting table set down and ready to go. So now the first thing we need to do is we need to crush with a crusher our biology. Okay, so the items that you need 4 redstone dusts on all the corners. You need a basic control circuit on the top and the bottom, and you get that by sending osmium with redstone through a metallurgic infuser, and then of course 2 lava buckets. You guys know how to do that. And this steel casing is real simple. It's just 4 steel with 4 glass and osmium in the middle. To get steel, you run iron and coal through a metallurgic infuser twice. If you guys don't understand all that, you're welcome to ask some questions in the comments or on my Discord server, and I may end up making a video in the future. But yeah, so that is how you make a crusher. So let's go ahead and click through there and create. There we go. So now I'm gonna set up my machine chain so you guys can see all of this in action. So first things first, I do want my energy cube. All right, and then I'm gonna set down, should probably can just, yeah, let's put the power on the bottom, okay? So now the power should be outputting on the right. You guys can see that. So now if I put the crusher on top of that, then that means now the crusher does in fact have power. So if I put in the metals or melon slices into the crusher, it's going to crush these melon slices into what is called biofuel. And this is important because you have to have this to make ethylene. It's the first essential product. So there you go. You get 4 biofuel per melon slice. So again, using an automatic milling farm from vanilla Minecraft is so useful. So you know what? I'm gonna grab, oh, I didn't actually grab any transporters. Okay, so basic logistical transporter, those are the things that you have to use to transport actual items. So let's go ahead and slap one of those things back down there. And by putting this chest here, let's throw it into the side. There you go. So now it's nice and symmetrical. So now I'm going to throw in all these melon slices. And notice that they're not being pulled out just yet. That's because you need your configurator. You need it set to, if you shift click and scroll, you can see at the very bottom, it shows configurate, and you go to items. And then you want to set this to pull, and now the items are automatically pulling out of this chest into the crusher. And of course, it is set to receive items on the top. And it's also set to output on the right, so we're going to go ahead and turn that on. So now the biofuel is set up and ready to go. Now this biofuel needs to go into an item known as a pressurized reaction chamber. But there's a few other parts that I want to set up first before I actually get the pressurized reaction chamber, because the reaction to make ethylene requires 3 ingredients: biofuel, water, and hydrogen. So there's easy ways to get water, including an electric pump. What do you do with water? You pump it. So we're gonna make that. I've got everything in my inventory that I need, so let's go ahead and make that. It's easy. 3 osmium ingots on the bottom, 2 infused alloys, which is just iron and redstone in a metallurgic infuser. We already talked about steel casing in a bucket. So shift click, bam. And then I've also got this water bucket here. And so now the way we get our water is, I guess first we can set down a basic table. I'm gonna dig with my hand because I forgot to get a shovel. Throw down that water. And then we're gonna slap this electric pump right on there. So now the pump is connected to the power structure and it has water down there. Now, it doesn't consume your water, so you only need a single block of water. And it can also be submerged, or at least I've heard it can be submerged down into the water and still work, but I like for my items to be available. So there you go. Now you have, or there is the water. Now, the next item that we're going to need, or machine that we're going to need, is called a metallurgic infuser. Because we have the water, like I said, we need the biofuel, we need the water, and we also need hydrogen. Now, how do you get hydrogen? Well, you separate the hydrogen and oxygen molecules in water, and you do that with what is called an electrolytic separator. To make one, you have to have 4 iron ingots on the corners, 2 redstone, top and bottom, infused alloy, which you already talked about, on the left and the right, and then an electrolytic core, which is super simple. You have 5 infused alloy in a X. You have iron dust, which you get the dusts by running the ingots through the crusher, which is the item that we literally just made. All right. And so you get iron dust, you get osmium dust on the bottom and the top, so you need 2 of those, and a gold dust on the right, which means this thing is a little bit expensive, but it can be done with just a little bit of mining. So I believe I need to make a few of these. Yeah, I need to make 2 of these for both the machines. I'm going to go ahead and make both of them. And then now I can move all these items and create the electrolytic separator. So now let me consider. Okay, so yeah, the items are going to be coming out of here. So let's actually place down the power there. And the PRC will be on the right. You know what? Let's actually put the electrolytic separator right there. Okay. And then we're going to slap down using the mechanical pipes, which of course that's how you get water. You pipe it out of the top. There you go. It fills up with water. And then we're going to send it over to the electrolytic separator. Okay, so there you go. We are now receiving water and separating hydrogen from the oxygen. Now, these 2 buttons here are very important. If it's set to idle, that means that if it fills up, the machine will stop. If you set it to dump excess, then if it fills up, then it will continue to run and just dump out whatever it maxes out on. Like whenever the pressure hits a certain point, it'll start to send that stuff out. So if one of them is set to idle, one of them is set to dumping excess, then it will fill up on one, but not the other. And that's what you want, because we're going to need the hydrogen out of here. We're not going to need the oxygen, so we can go ahead and dump the excess hydrogen, or dump the excess oxygen. So now I'm actually kind of tempted to do this a little bit differently. So let me go ahead and take this out of here. I'm going to put a couple of cables down like so, and I want to feed this underneath. So now it's got power, but it's coming from underneath. That way I can come out of here from the front with my hydrogen. Otherwise I've got to go around and it's going to look really bad. So now we have at our disposal both the water and the hydrogen, which you can see is here. So now let's make the machine that makes it all happen, and that is the pressurized reaction chamber. The problem is that we have several items that we haven't seen before. So we have steel, which we already talked about. We have basic control circuits, infused alloy, but then we have an enrichment chamber, which is a pretty complicated little thing. We have some dynamic tanks, or a single dynamic tank, and then 2 basic chemical tanks. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the basic chemical tanks because we actually need, I want to say only 3 of these. I don't know why it's giving me the option to make 4, but yeah, we need 3 of these basic chemical tanks with, all together. We also need a dynamic tank, which is super simple, actually, 4 steel ingots in a bucket. So let's make those. It makes 4 of them, but you only need 1. Kind of unfortunate. And then the last thing you need is an enrichment chamber, which is all basic stuff. Redstones on the corners, iron on the left and the right, basic control circuit on the top and the bottom, and then the steel casing in the middle. So there is your enrichment chamber. And then now we can mix them all together in this recipe to get the pressurized reaction chamber. So there you have it. So now I'm going to grab... Let me think about how I want to do this. I guess I'm going to slap this thing down right here. So right now we have the biofuel automatically kicking out from the crusher from the right. We have the water going into the PRC from the back. So you can see we already have water, and we have power coming in from the bottom. So we need to get the hydrogen to the machine, and that should be relatively simple. We can just use some tubes. Let me see. There's my tubes. And we can tell this thing, if we go into gases, I'm just going to gray them out. And I need the output 1, which hydrogen is number 1, oxygen is number 2. That's easy because hydrogen is on the left and oxygen's on the right. So the hydrogen's going to now be kicking out the front. So now if I put down a tube, you can see it's white. Hydrogen's white, oxygen is blue. And place that down in there. And there we go. Now it should start to fill up. Now, if it doesn't start to fill up, that's simple. All you gotta do is go over to gases and input from the right. So now, guys, we have water, we have hydrogen, we have biofuel, and it will begin to make ethylene. And also we make substrate. And I just realized I might have... Huh, interesting. Anyway, so substrate is something that you'll have to deal with as a byproduct, but what we were after is the ethylene. So now that we have the ethylene, let's make the gas burning generator that we actually want to use to deal with it. So that's super simple. 4 osmium ingots on the corners, 2 steel casings, another electrolytic core, remember that's why I made 2, and then 2 infused alloy, and bam, there is our gas burning generator. So I'm going to actually kick the ethylene out the front of this PRC, okay? So that means the gas burning generator can receive it from the top. So by using a tube, slap that baby down, and then I can output. Let me see, it's a gas, so I'm gonna output the front, and there you have it. Now the ethylene is in our gas burning generator. Not too bad. And then if I want to, I can do something like run my basic cable, and actually I could probably rotate this, right? Yeah, rotate. So I'm gonna rotate this to where the green side, which is the energy side, is facing my energy cube. And well, it'll connect there if I do that. I guess I can rotate it to where, here, yeah, there we go, make it face this way. Start pulling out the energy here. I didn't make quite enough of these energy cables, but what it'll do is it'll loop around, it'll connect to this energy cube, and then it'll feed itself energy, and then you have an infinite energy loop, which is pretty dang awesome. So the last thing that we need besides one more energy cable is a way to get rid of this substrate, okay? This substrate, and I've got a few extra things I must have over prepared a little bit. But to get rid of the substrate, it's super simple. All you have to do is slap down a logistical transporter, and we're gonna put that right on top. And of course, I need this to disconnect. So if I go down, see now it's set to items. If I right-click this enough times, there you go, it disconnects, okay? And then if I put a chest on top, so let's go back into creative, slap that down, and now if this thing is set to input on the front, so now it's gonna fill up this energy cube super, super fast with my ethylene that's producing. So there you go. Now the power loop is set up, and now if I put this chest on top and then configure to pull and then tell it to eject items out of the top, then there you go. The substrate now kicks up into this chest, because if it fills up to 64 substrate, then it will actually stop working. So yeah, guys, we have now completed the machinery, or the setup needed to make ethylene. Now, it's not pretty. I mean, I didn't make it the prettiest that it could be, but it makes sense, right? It's a logical step. You have, and I'll go over it one more time, you have the crusher that's receiving your biology. Again, that's gonna be melons, it could be saplings, it could be flowers, it could be seeds, it could be anything that is biological. It goes into the crusher, makes your biofuel. The crusher must have power, so I did have this energy cube pre-charged with some from a solar generator. The biofuel is kicked off into a pressurized reaction chamber here. Pressurized reaction chamber is receiving water and hydrogen. The water is being pumped out by this pump. It's being sent into the pressurized reaction chamber as well as the electrolytic separator. The electrolytic separator is making both hydrogen and oxygen. I have hydrogen set on idle and oxygen set on dumping excess. The hydrogen is being pumped out and sent into the pressurized reaction chamber here, so all three are there. It's creating substrate and ethylene. The ethylene is being pumped into the gas burning generator, and the substrate is here in this chest. Substrate is a byproduct. It can be used to make HDPE pellets and sheets, which are really useful for high-level stuff, as well as plastics. You can make plastics out of this stuff as well. So, there you go, guys. The whole system has been designed, built, and set up. I've already maxed out my energy cube, which is pretty awesome. So, as you can see, you could set this up in a loop. As long as you have an energy cube, you can actually set this up in a loop, and I mean, you'll never need power again, or at least not for a very, very long time. This is a good early to mid-game tier thing. Eventually, you're going to want a fission reactor and a industrial turbine, and then eventually a fusion reactor. all that stuff I will be making guides on in the future, so definitely stay tuned for that. If you have any questions on how this works, again, this is not the prettiest way to set this up, but it is effective. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know down below in the comments. Other than that, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily gaming videos and for guides. Be sure and look forward to the guides. And if you have any questions, again, ask them in the comments or my Discord server. And I do get ideas for videos in the comments, so that helps a lot. Hope this helped. If it did, give this video a thumbs up like I've already mentioned. Remember that I love each and every one of you, and I will see you all again next time.